All right. What do we got, Max Pata?
All right. So this writer strike is getting getting kind of crazy, and the SAG-AFTRA strike as well. But so first off, LA Mag reported that Universal, there was a strike outside the picket line. They come out one morning and temperatures north of 90 degrees, and they had pruned the trees that was providing shade.
I heard Universal said that this is a city permit thing, and they do it all the time and whatever.
But what everyone's saying, including like arborists, are even chiming like, you don't do this in the middle of the summer.
Man, when arborists are weighing in, you know it's gotten out of hand.
Yeah. So and so people are still going out there. They're picketing, but so this obviously got a lot of press over 90 degrees, and so they sent out, like the next day, Universal sent out pop-up tents to provide shade. Mm-hmm. But I guess there are still like reports showing that Universal hired the tree trimmers. So
I think the microcosm there for me is that, I mean, I've had a couple of meals at Swingers in Hollywood this week, and lots of writers there. and the one story that
Swingers by the on-ramp.
The Swingers on Beverly?
On Beverly, sorry, the breakfast joint. Yeah.
So the one thing that everyone kept talking about was this idea that they would replace working extras with a likeness of themselves.
Yeah, so that's what SAG's upset about.
And they would never be able to earn it.
Working extras, how does that work?
So this is what happened. So this is why SAG-AFTRA is now striking. This is part of their AI argument is supposedly there was in the contract that said that if you're an extra, if you're in a movie, you would get your face scanned. Mm-hmm. And they would have your likeness to use in all perpetuity in the future. But
is that just the one studio?
The SAG is saying that they said it doesn't matter. They can use it as much as they want. But the studios are saying, no, we can only use it for this particular movie. And if we want to go beyond that, we would let you know, and we would compensate you for that.
Yeah, I hear about, I was watching Entertainment Tonight or something, and the celebrities go, we do this role, This Is Us, and then it goes into syndication, and we get a residual check for 81 cents, kind of thing. And then there's a part of me that's always like, well, I hate actors in general, and I hate unions in general, but there's a part of me that goes, yeah, that's some bullshit. And then I realize I used to build houses for a living. I never got a fucking residual check when they sold the house for 3 times what they paid for it, And if you worked at a restaurant or you worked as a lawyer, or you're a dentist, there's no residuals in any form of life. It's sort of like when I hear about, you ever talk to a fireman? You want to get pissed off? Go find like a 48-and-a-half-year-old fireman. And you start talking to him. You're like, what are you up to? And he's like, well, I got about another year and a half, and then I'm going to retire. And you're like, you're younger than I am. What do you mean you're going to retire? I've been in for 25 years. I'm going to retire. And there's a part of me that goes, yeah, that makes sense. And then there's another part of me that goes, what the fuck? You get to at age 50, you get to never work again for full pay and benefits. Like, I don't have that set up in my world. I don't know anyone else who has that setup as well. So right. I'm sort of mixed. On one hand, it's a residual, and there's like, if I write a book and the book keeps selling, years after I wrote it, then you would get a residual check. Like, I'm kind of in on it, but
isn't that what makes these jobs desirable, though? So, like, you want to be a fireman, so you get that. But then if you find out mid-career, we're taking that away from you. Yeah,
in general, the thing about actors is it's a really low percentage job, So it's like when people go, what are these people supposed to do? They got to put bread on the table for their family. Like, they have to get a real fucking job. That's what they have to do. It's a low percentage gig.
What percentage of actors are employed?
Oh, I mean, it's like there's 200,000 SAG members and there's 8,000 people who work or
65,000 were picketing last week. And
65,000?
Yeah.
But how many people were working?
Right. That's the thing. And like, even if you're including just small parts or extras, I mean, I think the average pay is $27 an hour for these actors.
For what?
For Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Temple. you mean for Goblet.
You mean for an extra job?
Yeah.
Extra jobs, yeah.
I'm telling you, the greatest job I ever had was stand-in on a movie. I got a I had a buddy who was an AD on a movie, and he got me a stand-in job, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest. I was got like $120 a day and all the granola bars I could eat, and I was hanging around half the time. To me, in my world, that was the greatest gig ever.
The thing that I keep thinking is I really wish I could hear the dialogue in the room when there are people saying, you know what? Let's take that $1.25 away from them.
Right.
Let's take it away.
So the residuals are upset because of the streaming services, because they're not getting paid per view. They're getting paid for how much the streaming service paid for that show, right? So they're only getting like a single check. But as far as like what people are saying in the room, there was an unnamed executive that told, I think, like the Hollywood Reporter, this is the quote for the writer's strike: "The end game is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's their nuclear weapon.
Right. So Ron Perlman heard that.
Uh-oh.
And he went on social media and
Ron Perlman is feisty as shit.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
85% of actors are unemployed at any given time. Only 13% earn more than $10,000 a year. So I'm kind of saying, everyone, it's a low percentage gig.
Right.
It's definitely a hobby. So, I mean, that was my biggest argument. Initially, I got in a lot of trouble years ago, like 20 years ago, when the extras were going on. There was I don't know, it was like 23. It was like 1999 or something like that. And the commercial actors went on strike. And people would say, these people they may work twice a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 times a year. They got to support a family. I'm like, they have to get a fucking job. What do you think roofers get to go? I choose to work. You pick the 3 days out of the year. Like garbage men, roofers, guys who work at the fucking liquor store. Like, who announces I work 3 days a week?
Yeah,
so imagine that.
Close to the vest,
you're talking to a fucking blue collar dude here. So it'd be me going, look, I only work as a roofer 3 days a week, 3 days a year. So if I work as a roofer 3 days a year, I'm gonna need $27,000 a day to work on your roof because I just worked 3 out of the year. And I was like, you need to get a fucking job. And then everyone turned on me. Everyone got angry at me. But I was like, you have to get a fucking job. All right. Or be super good at commercial acting and be in every commercial. But not real sympathetic to the I only work 3 days a year.
When I first came out here, there was a famous person that told me that even on its best day, show business is a game of chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And if you get good at playing poker, it's a game of chance. You will score.
All right, we got Ron Perlman.
Oh, yeah, let's watch some Ron.